Lesser-known ancient sites worth visiting.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Titanic. I'm your host, Alexa. We often talk about the most popular tourist destinations, but today is all about the sites you may not have ever heard of.
BALLBEK, Lebanon. The Phoenician gods of the sky above us are the focus of the first lesser-known site. The BALLBEK became an important pilgrimage site for worshipping the sky god Baal and the Queen of Heaven. The city center includes a grand temple dedicated to Baal and Astarte, which are actually beneath a Roman temple that was later built on top of them. Tikal, Guatemala. Until recently, the Mayan remnants of Guatemala were hidden beneath thick vegetation in the deep forests where they were found. Now visitors can explore more than 3,000 structures, including temples, palaces, pyramids, and sporting courts, all built over a 1,000-year period from about 600 BC. The Rings of Moray, Peru. This looks like a UFO landing site because of its accurate and deep rings. The massive terraced structure is carved into a lush area, and the terraced steps are covered with grass. The depth of the curious crater is 30 meters and 220 meters wide, a massive structure to be created by manpower in ancient times. Studies surmise that it was an ancient Incan agricultural experiment, as they have found the terraces contain soil from all over the region, and the temperatures between the top and the bottom of the pit vary by 15 degrees Celsius, so it's possible to test a variety of microclimates nearby each other. The brilliance of this crop testing structure and the accuracy with which it was built is another marvel of the Incan kingdom.
You may not know of this tower, but it is an historical must-see. It is the oldest Greco-Roman lighthouse still in use. It was built in the 1st century BC and is 590 feet tall, with incredible views of the North Atlantic coast of Spain.
Jaffa Port, Israel. Old Jaffa Port is famous for being the port that Jonah set off from in the biblical story of Jonah and the whale. It's still in use today. No further whale swallowing has been reported, though, by the local fishermen, who continue to use the historical port daily. It is also thought to be the oldest port in the world. La Ciudad Perdida, Colombia. La Ciudad is a lost city which was never really lost. When scientists discovered it in the 70s, indigenous leaders quietly asserted that they knew of the city's existence and had never stopped visiting it as a holy site. It was built before Machu Picchu around 800 AD and houses between 2,000 and 8,000 people, which is enormous by ancient civilization standards. Those who have visited it have experienced something unique, as it's a really technical 27-mile hike to get there. Newgrange, Ireland. Built in Ireland at the same time as Stonehenge, Newgrange contains much more building and detail than the bulky megalith in England. It is older than the Egyptian pyramids, and its exact purpose has been lost. It consists of a large mound with engraved curbstones along its retaining wall, and within the mound are stone passageways and an interior chamber. At winter solstice, the inner chamber is bathed in light, so it's thought to be a religious monument. Delos, Greece. Delos is a small island in the Cyclades archipelago in Greece, and the remaining structures indicate that it had significant historical influence. Large structures remain as a sanctuary to the god Apollo, along with ornate mosaics and marble lions. The first Delos inhabitants date back to the Bronze Age. Poverty Point, Louisiana. Poverty Point is a relic of the height of early human civilization in North America. These particular remains include 6 concentric circles carved out from the earth into mounds, causeways, and docks on the Mississippi River, and were likely to have been built in 3500 BC, when the city was at its peak. This was a time before agriculture was established in the region, so the inhabitants were hunters, gatherers, and fishermen. Acrocorinth, Greece.
The Acrocorinth in Greece has had a busy population well into the 19th century. From the Macedonians to the Byzantines, from the Venetians and the Ottoman Turks, the Acrocorinth has had a varied population.
It stands as a monolithic rock overlooking the ancient city and is one of the most impressive acropolis of mainland Greece. Chandbauri, India. This is a spectacular, unknown gem of Indian history. The Chandbauri is a square stepwell built between the 9th and 10th century and is the deepest and most well-preserved of its time. The stepped stone terrace has ornate arches and verandas, 13 stories of double-lined staircases, all facing an emerald green pool of water which goes 100 100 feet deep. St. HILARION Castle, Cyprus. This monastery was named after a monk who fled persecution in the Holy Land and lived and died in a cave in the Kyrenia Mountains. In the 10th century, the Byzantines built a church and later a monastery and watchtower to give warning of pirates that raided the area. Records from 1191 AD make reference to the castle for the first time. The St. HILARION Castle was the inspiration for Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. TAKHT-E, Pakistan. TAKHT-E was a monastery built in the 1st century but only remained in use for 600 years. Its hilltop location helped protect it from invasions, but then the British arrived and they took most of the remaining treasures to the British Museum. The monks who resided here were responsible for spreading tantric traditions to this area. Today, 3 stupas, a court, and a meditation chamber remain of the mountainside monastery. Ostia Antica, Rome, Italy. Ostia Antica was the main harbor city of ancient Rome, but was abandoned and buried for over 10 centuries until it was recently discovered and is now an active archaeological site. The city was a thriving 100,000-strong population, but malaria plagued the city's health, so many fled to save their lives. It includes enormous mosaics, and you can see the restoration in action when you visit. Nalanda Ruins, India. Nalanda was the university and library center of India and flourished from the 5th to the 13th centuries. It went into decline and was lost and was only rediscovered in the 19th century. The ruins are spread over 30 acres and are filled with Buddhist monasteries, temples, Buddha sculptures, meditation halls, classrooms, and artifacts like coils, seals, and inscriptions. Temple of Hercules Victor, Rome. The Temple of Hercules Victor is a completely round temple that was built around the 2nd century in the classic Greek style. 19 of the original 20 columns still stand, plus the inner room. This monument was built as a temple where Hercules rested after the 10th challenge of rescuing the cattle of Geryon from Erythea. Uxmal Pyramid, Mexico.
The legend of this pyramid says that it was built in a single night by a dwarf and his mother, who turned out to be a witch. Now, that's a pretty impressive feat because this pyramid is 115 feet high.
In reality, historians estimate it was built between AD 600 and 1000, and 5 constructive phases have been detected. The one we see today is the latest one, built around AD 900 to 1000. INCALLAIT, Bolivia. Once the Incas had conquered the Collao territories in Peru, they headed for Bolivia to make their mark. INCALLAIT is the result of this, and the unique site is 67 hectares with close to 40 buildings and a defensive wall to explore. COPAN Ruins, Honduras. Copan held civilizations for more than 2,000 years during the early pre-classic period to the post-classic period. It has a unique sculptural style and luckily has very accurate records of the city, which has been reconstructed in detail by archaeologists and epigraphers. The site museum is lauded as a brilliant visit with loads of reproductions bringing you right into the era. It is also a brilliant place to view the scarlet macaws in the surrounding jungle. Chogazabil, Iran. The ruins of the holy city of the Kingdom of Elam tell of a striking kingdom that was founded in 1250 BC. Sadly, the city was not finished before it was invaded by Ashurbanipal, and thousands of unused bricks lie discarded on site. The city is surrounded by 3 huge concentric walls, along with the most well-preserved stepped pyramid, plus it's the largest ziggurat outside of Mesopotamia. This site has been a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO list since 1979. Cathedral of Ani, Armenia. The Cathedral of Ani is the largest standing building in Ani, which is an impressive feat given the building methods and materials of the 11th century. It consists of a domed basilica with a rectangular plan, though the dome and most of its supporting structure are now missing. Its use of pointed arches and clustered piers were a possible influence on Gothic architecture. The cathedral, along with the entire site of Ani, was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 2016. TAKHT-E SULEMAN, Iran. TAKHT-E SULEMAN, or Throne of Solomon, is one of the most puzzling sites of Iran. The site is a flat stone hill with a lake in the middle. The water is brilliantly clear but deep, so completely dark. The lake is fed by an underground spring. The clandestine water source in an otherwise arid region make places like this veiled in mystery. It was known as a portal to the underworld and as the home of earth spirits. ELLORA, India. ELLORA is an Indian monastic complex complex similar to Petra. It too was carved out of the mountains in the area of Maharashtra. However, unlike Petra, it remains largely unknown. There are temples to many faiths, including Hindu, Buddhist, and Jaina holy sites built over a period of 400 years, starting from the 16th century. If you get there, make sure to stop in at Cave 16. Its name doesn't do it justice. You'll enter a double-story entrance into a courtyard surrounded by a 3-story arcade surrounded by columns. Chanchan, Peru. Chanchan literally means sun, and this used to be the capital of the Chimu Empire between 850 and 1470. At the time, it was the most expansive city of pre-Columbian South America. The empire stretched from southern Ecuador all along the Peruvian coast. Around the 12th century, this beautiful citadel was added. The city is adorned with beautiful sculptures and wall carvings and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Have any of you watching been able to visit these incredible places? If you haven't yet, what's the first place on your list? Let me know in the comments down below.
1. Carthage, Ancient Ruins, Tunisia. Our last stop is one of the great cities of antiquity, and it's worth heading off the beaten track. This place was built by the Phoenicians and expanded their influence through trade. Founded in 814 BC, and it gained independence in 650 BC. The independence led to conflict with the Greeks and Romans, and when the Punic Wars started, Carthage didn't fare well. Eventually, the site was annexed and included into the Roman Republic. It thrived again for a short while until it was destroyed in 698.